I have my special guest. He's a men's action life coach, no other than Mr. Maxim Shapiro. Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Maxim. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Sure. My name is Max Shapiro. I am a professional life coach, among other things. I focus on working with men, uh, middle aged men, but generally men of all ages. My coaching practice is called Forward Motion Coaching, and you can find me at forwardmotioncoach.ing. I've also got a YouTube channel. It's at Maxim Shapiro. I live in the Bay Area, California, but I work with men all over the U.S. and the world. So uh, glad to be of service.
Mr. Maxim Shapiro, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. My cheering squad is cheering about you personally. Start living with purpose and drive. Can you tell us about more about this phrase on your website?
Yeah. So basically, a lot of men, especially men in their 40s, but I would say really even younger men today, just lack purpose and drive. They don't really know what they're here for. They're not excited about life in the way that we should be. Life is about taking risks, having adventures, and not just taking risk for the sake of taking risk, but taking risk in line with your purpose and your authenticity in life. So, in order to take those kind of risks and have those kind of adventures, you have to first be in touch with your own self and your authenticity. So that's what I help men do.
How does the pressure to embody traditional masculinity sabotage men's mental health and authentic self expression?
Hmm, good question. Well, I would say just in general today, there's not really a clear definition of what a man is. Just like there's not there's not, at least in the U.S., a clear definition of what a woman is, and they've made movies about this topic. What it is to be a man has morphed over the years. It's different today than it was 50 or 70 years ago, and so traditional male roles may not be the way that they were back then, but being a man in the traditional sense is equally as important, if not more important than ever. And what I mean by that is knowing who you are, having a purpose, having control of yourself, and essentially being your own hero in life. Uh, being able to rely on yourself, knowing how to communicate, knowing how to lead, which starts with leading yourself, knowing how to make decisions, knowing how to be still, when to get into action, uh, when to ask for help. Uh, believe it or not, if you think of, I mean, there's this like stereotype: men don't ask for help. Well, back in the cave era, when men were out hunting and taking down large game with sticks, basically, they didn't do it by themselves. They were helping each other. And you had to know how to communicate and ask for help. And that's how you took down a woolly mammoth or a wild boar or whatever. You couldn't just be out there making it up by yourself and figure it out. You would die. So, communication, effective communication, clear communication with a purpose, knowing what you're trying to get out of it, and knowing how to communicate and lead other people. That's a very distinct and important part of being a man.
Definitely. people or men all over the world, if you need help, please ask for help. Why is naming and processing emotions still stigmatized for men, and how does this hinder relationships and decision making?
Well, I think, I mean, naming emotions and expressing emotions are two different things. And I think part of the reason it's hard for men is because we don't always have a name for what we're feeling, but we feel like we have to give a name to it. And if we can't come up with a name, then we get stuck right there. And then the whole process stops. You don't have to have a name or a label for what you're feeling, but you have to be able to express what you're feeling somehow. And you have to be able to do it effectively in order to be successful, whether it's in business or in relationships or just even in your own head. Like just today, I was feeling something. I'm going through something personally, and I was feeling very sad today. And I, texted someone who's important to me, just telling them, "Hey, this is how I feel." And I mean, in this case, I could name what I was feeling. I was feeling sad, but the bottom line is, like, I didn't have this eloquent uh, explanation for it. I just needed to say it and get it off my chest. And just doing that made me feel better. And I did it in an appropriate way to an appropriate person. This is a person whose permission I have to, text them if I'm feeling a particular way. So, um, you know, thinking and feeling are two different things. And I think the thing that stops men from expressing how we feel is we get caught up in thinking about how to do it, right? And it's paralysis by analysis. And then we just talk ourselves right out of doing it because it's terrible. Because thinking is terrible. Feeling is good. Thinking is terrible. And then we get into this thinking where we're in our heads going round and round, and we can't decide how to name what we feel, or we feel like there's a particular way to express it that's correct, but we don't know what that way is. So we're just like, you know what? The hell with it. We're not going to express anything, and it shuts us down. And that's terrible. That's death right there.
Mr. Maxim, how can men align their work with core values when societal success markers feel empty?
Well, you have to figure out what your core values are. This is where a coach can come in handy. You have to think about these things. You have to be intentional about it. You have to pay attention to it. And the thing is, if you start doing that, it's not it's not hard to figure out what your core values are. But you do have to spend time on the exercise. And then once you have figured out what they are, it takes effort and attention to live that way consistently. And those are things that a coach can help you with.
Why is intentional rest a radical act against toxic productivity, and how do men justify it without guilt?
Intentional rest.
Yes.
Well, rest can come in different forms. So for me, I like to do jujitsu. I like to walk my dog. I'll give you a perfect example. If I'm in the office working and I've been at my desk for a couple hours and my brain isn't working well anymore, I can't think clearly, I'm getting frustrated. I stand up, I put a leash around my dog, I take him outside, and we walk for 20, 30, 40 minutes, whatever it is. Often I'll take my phone with me because when you're moving physically, things are going to be moving through your system. You're getting the energy running through your system. Your brain juices start moving. Your brain needs movement just as much as your body does. And thoughts, feelings, ideas start to happen. You will get hit with inspiration as you're just taking a walk, not sitting in the office in front of your computer. And then I might text people, I might call people, I might make notes to myself. So some of my most productive thinking and inspiration times are not when I'm in the office in front of my computer, but outside walking my dog or whatever, getting some fresh air, getting away from my computer. And so if you need to justify taking, rest, quote unquote, justify it by knowing that in that productive rest, that might be the most productive time and the most creative time that you have all day.
Definitely. Mr. Maxim, why do men struggle with deep platonic connections, and how does this isolation fuel mental health crisis?
Men struggle with platonic connections. I mean, men struggle with all sorts of non-platonic connections as well, but basically we don't know ourselves. You have to know what you want in a relationship or out of a relationship in order to use it appropriately and correctly. And one of those relationships that you have to have is with yourself. And so you have to be able to sit still by yourself and be alone and not feel like you need to be with other people as a coping mechanism. Conversely, if you're shutting yourself in and blocking yourself from being with others or communicating with others in a non-productive way, you have to be able to judge that as well. So it's really about knowing yourself as well as possible so that you can decide when it's time to keep your own counsel or when it's time to seek the counsel of other people.
How can men cultivate emotional intimacy with partners when conditioned to avoid soft communication?
Sorry, when conditioned to avoid soft communication.
Yes,
What do you call soft communication?
meaning you're having LQ, love quarrel, or something else that relationship hindered to communicate with.
Yeah. Well, so you're saying if you're in a quarrel with your lover, with your significant other, how do you
Cultivate more emotionally with intimacy.
sometimes you need to step away and give the other person space and take space for yourself. Also, sometimes communication isn't verbal. You can buy some flowers. You can just do something nice to break the ice if you guys are fighting. You have to again be able to judge yourself and determine, okay, am I am I not talking to this person because I need some time off or because I'm trying to punish them? And trying to punish the other person is never a productive use of energy. Uh, Sometimes you need to communicate in a way that lets the other person know how you feel, and if you're upset, you need to be able to let them know that. Ideally, you can let them know that verbally just by saying I'm upset or something along those lines. But if you can't find the words in the moment, then you have to be able to do it differently. Sometimes that means silence. Sometimes that means leaving the house. Sometimes you could even have a symbol, like you could create a sign in your relationship. Like if I move this picture from this wall to this wall, that means I'm upset. Or if I move, the flowers from this table to this table, that means I'm angry at you, or something along those lines, something symbolic. You can even be, I mean, you can feel for yourself. This is why you have to be in touch with yourself, because your body will tell you what to do. And there are plenty of appropriate and effective ways to show somebody that you're upset with them non-verbally.
Mr. Maxim, as a men's action life coach, what are your short term and long term goals?
My my long-term goals are to reach as many men as possible, to help them live healthy and fulfilled lives, so that we can have a healthy society, because society doesn't work without healthy men who are pushing themselves to be their best.
Definitely. And good luck to your goals, Mr. Maxim, and looking forward for more success. What would be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be a life coach like you, most especially for men?
If you want to be a life coach, get good training, figure out what kind of life coach you want to be, uh, know yourself as well as possible, and be out pushing yourself to your maximum, so that you can walk the talk and effectively coach others to do the same.
Definitely. Thank you for your advice, Mr. Maxim. And can you please recommend a book that influenced your journey?
Sure. If you want to read something that's a classic in the men's realm, there's a book called Iron John by Robert Bly. It's several decades old, um, and definitely something that a lot of men's specialists have read. And if you want to read something more recent that's a little more simple and every bit as effective, there's a book called Don't Believe Everything You Think, which is about feeling and thoughts, but not thinking, and how to live life really effectively.
Yes, people read that book so that you will be empowered, most especially men. And Mr. Maxim, how do always on expectations and breadwinners guilt collide to harm men's well being?
How do always on expectations and breadwinners,
Guilt collide.
guilt collide? Hmm. Well, I think you have to know what it means to be on. And we can be on in different ways throughout the day. Like, as an example, I do jujitsu almost every day, and usually I go in the evening. And when I go in the evening, a lot of times I'm tired because I've been up since 6 o'clock or earlier. I've been working, I've been in the office doing various things. And even though it feels like my body is tired, what's really happening is my brain is tired. I'm mentally and emotionally tired, but I'm not physically tired. And as soon as I step into the jujitsu gym and start to warm up, my brain shuts off and my body takes over. And I find this reservoir of energy that moves me through the next 2 hours. And I end up being a lot more productive than I think I can be. So, always on means different things at different times of the day. And you have to be able to measure and judge and temper your own energy and understand how it works in different circumstances.
Definitely. How can men set work or life limits without fearing professional backlash?
I think it has to do with boundaries and what's authentic to you. people talk about work-life balance. That's different for everybody. And you just have to be in touch with what's important to you. So if you're a man and you have a family and you have kids, and it's important for you to be home in the evening to spend time with your kids, you need to have the courage and the strength to draw a line at the office and say, okay, I'm stopping work by this time, whether it's 5 or 6 or 7, whatever it is, so I can be at home in the evening with my kids. Conversely, if it's authentic to you to work till 9 o'clock at night, by all means, work till 9 o'clock at night. And that might be the case some days, and other days it's something different. So it's really about understanding what your priorities are in life. That's going to be different for everybody. There's no one set formula that dictates work life balance for everybody.
Definitely. What daily practices help men process anger, grief, or anxiety constructively?
I think the most effective, productive people have daily practices that are truly daily practices. They do them every day. They're the framework of their day. I certainly have those practices starting first thing when I wake up in the morning. I get out of bed, I kneel down next to my bed and I pray to God. And I have a certain set of practices that I do every day, regardless of the circumstances, regardless how I feel, whether I want to do them, don't want to do them. And I think most, if not all, successful, effective, productive people, certainly men, have these types of practices that form the skeleton of our day. So no day is totally random. Life is all about change, but you have to have things that you can rely on from yourself on a daily basis. And they should be things that you don't have to do. Nobody's forcing me to do these things. I could, quote unquote, get away with not doing them, but I would know I didn't do them. The discipline would not be there. My character would not be building. And so doing these things gives me wins every single day because I've exercised my own willpower over myself.
Definitely. And how do hobbies unrelated to work or income restore identity beyond provider?
Hobbies can be a great way to get your mind refreshed. So it's like active rest, right? Resting doesn't just mean sitting still or sleeping. It's going out and exercising. It's playing an instrument. It's reading a book. It's maybe flower arrangement. I mean, Japanese samurai back in the day practiced flower arrangement. That was one of their skills. They were artists. They were Renaissance men in a sense. They activated different parts of their brain and their body to cultivate a whole person. So, hobbies, if you need them, uh, can restore your energy, regenerate your creativity. Elon Musk, maybe the busiest human being on earth, he's got hobbies. I think he plays video games in between his 2 to 4 hour stints focusing on his different companies. So everybody, even the most in, or maybe especially the most successful and productive people, need ways to regenerate their thinking ability.
Yes, people, let's do relax ourselves so that we will be productive in return. How can men support other men's growth without competition or judgment?
Focus on yourself, push yourself, be the best you that you can be. If you're friends with someone, be there for that person and understand that they don't have to be you. They're not the same person as you. You're not the same person as them. So don't try to make the people you care about like you. Just be there for them, take care of them, tell them the truth when you have to. Uh, Listen to their truth when they tell you the truth, and take it like a man, so to speak. But really focus on being your best and pushing yourself to fulfill your own potential, and care about other people. Be there for other people. That's what really makes it in this world.
Why this? What is all about what they said. And Mr. Maxim, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast law 101 and mental health 101, love letters in third season, and my movie 101 review and music 101 in fourth season, and science 101 and sex 101 in it for season. Please listen to them or wherever you listen your podcast. Mr. Maxim, what is the first mindset or habit man must adopt to thrive as a humans, not just a productive man?
Men should push themselves to face their fears, do the things that you're afraid of. I don't mean throw yourself off a building and try to fly. I mean, really look inside yourself, figure out what you're afraid of, whether it's moving across the country, committing to a relationship, having a child, starting a business, whatever it is, take the risk, because men are at their best when we are striving to fulfill our full potential. That is what happiness and fulfillment are for a man. We have to feel like we're pushing ourselves to the utmost. That's why you hear it talked about that men live a life of quiet desperation, because a lot of men feel like they're wasting their life. They might be being a good person or trying to be a good person, but they feel like there's some level of themselves that they're not giving, they're not expressing. And that's a very depressing, demoralizing feeling. So we want to be pushing the envelope with ourselves all the time.
Mr. Maxim Shapiro, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world in coaching men's out there. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Absolutely. Thank you. You can find me at forwardmotioncoach.ing. That's my coaching website, and you can sign up for a session with me there. And you can also find my videos and other content at Maxim Shapiro on YouTube. That's my YouTube channel.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Maxim Shapiro, because if you support him, for sure, more and more and more empowering coaching to come, more and more empowering advocacy to come, and for sure, more and more empowering men that leads our nation to come. So, Mr. Maxim, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Monicon people, see you soon.